Welcome to the Real Out Loud podcast. We will be engaging in conversations with peers and professional guests about life experiences that reel or bring people off balance. Join us for today's episode. Welcome to the Real Out Loud podcast. My name is Nicole and I'm not alone today. Today we've got a special guest in the house. Her name is Tinashe Mujera. She's a strategist, she's an entrepreneur, she's an author, and among the many things that she is, she's also a mother to one lady by the name Atara. Guys, they've got a clothing line as well. And she's going to be joining us today as we are going to be reeling and talking about the different life experiences that people have that bring them off balance. But today she's going to take us through her book that she wrote. And welcome, Tinashe, to our platform. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for inviting me to your platform. And I'm excited to be reeling with you today.
Thank you. Are you anxious?
I think so. I think you never get used to these things. It's like every time you get to be interviewed is like a new experience altogether. So yeah, the nerves are always there.
Okay, calm down. You know, we've got a very flexible audience at Real Out Loud, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited to hear more about your book today. Do you want to take us through the first thing, maybe something that, how is it that you got an inspiration to start writing?
Okay, thank you for that question. So maybe I should just start by introducing the title of the book.
Yes.
The book title is Nashe, with God, the journey of a transformed woman. Okay. Yeah, Nashe is Shona, you'd know this.
Okay.
And Nashe means with God, hence I subtitle with God and the journey of a transformed woman. It's basically based on a true life story of my own personal story. I talk about the experiences I went through and what inspired me to write the book. Really, I can only say it's God. I never ever in my entire lifetime dreamt or thought of writing a book. Was never in my to-do list or my bucket list of things to do. So yeah, when this inspiration came in the year 2020, I just could not. It was the year where we went into hard lockdown. There's a lot of things that God was just speaking into my heart, my spirit. I was literally given the book, its chapters, and that's where the inspiration came from.
Oh, okay. Could you say you actually drew the Nashe part from your name, Tinashe?
Totally.
Can you lighten us on that?
Totally. So because it's based on a true life story, as I was actually going through the whole process of God dropping these nuggets and this inspiration in my spirit, He reminded me of my name. Tinashe means God with us, because all the experiences I've been through, God He's really been with me. He's taken me in and out of them, and I've always seen His hand, through and through. And so, yes, Nashe is derived from my name, Tinashe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So could you basically say that when you were writing your book, you relate the story of your life or the experiences of your life as raw as they were? Or did your narrative change over time? Because I've gotten the privilege to actually look at it, and I realized that, you were saying that there were times when you consecrated yourself, that you had to go to God and, you experienced this transformation, this growth. Would you say when you were writing from a reflective point, or was it just raw as you were going through the experience at that time?
Thank you. So I believe that, definitely was from a reflective point of view, because remember, this is after I've experienced all the things, that I went through. And when God was giving me the inspiration, basically it came more as a healing to me to say, yes, you've gone through 1, 2, 3, but it was just not in vain. I brought it in to sort of strengthen you, to teach you things. And when I wrote the book, really, I must say the perspective had changed. It was from a healing point of view and an understanding of why the things that happened. And that's
I get it. That's where the transformation part of it comes in.
That's it.
Okay. And I see, as you were writing your book, I got to read a lot about Esther. Why Esther? Just tell us a little bit about why you chose the character of Esther.
So I parallel my story with that of Esther because I wanted to depict how each and every individual can rise up into their calling and purpose in the service of others. So in the story of Esther, we see a rise from being an orphan girl to becoming a queen of one of the most powerful nations at the time. Okay. And what I wanted was for people to draw inspiration from that, and that there is hope. Because no matter how hopeless your story may look now, God has a plan. I mean, Esther is one of the few women I look up to in the Bible. She speaks into my being because I relate so much with the story. You know, It relates to my own life story, if I could put it that way. And yeah, that's where it came from.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I think I've been reading the Bible in the wrong way. Because most of the time I would focus on Esther being the queen. And I forget the part where she was like an orphan. And you know, now that you're saying it, and the fact that I've read your book and there were a lot of losses, particularly the loss of parents, it now makes sense why you relate with Esther more.
Yeah. Remember, she was also not only an orphan, but she was not of that nation where she was. She
didn't belong.
She didn't belong.
Okay.
So I almost relate to that as well. I mean, she was a foreigner, literally. And I relate to that in a way. You know, I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm here in South Africa now. I've lost parents. I'm here now. There's things that were difficult for me to obtain or get. And when I see myself where I am now, I actually see the hand of God and how He's actually literally brought me from that, you know, being looked at as that little orphan girl to maybe being a queen. So I take inspiration from
And you know, when people see an orphan, they just feel pity.
That's it.
It's all about sympathy. They don't necessarily see the power and the strength and the purpose that is in you. And I love the fact that those are the three things: courage, strength, and purpose that you wrote in your book. We're gonna get to that. But before we get to that, you know, at Real Out Loud podcast, we want it to be a platform where people tend to their brokenness and they find healing. And, you know, I love your book so much because I realize that there's a point in time where you actually define womanhood. Would you want to take us a bit through that?
Thank you, Nicole. So I really relate with women and girls a lot, and I believe that my purpose and calling also resonates with women and girls. So I'm really excited that you at Real Out Loud, you actually stand for that as well.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
so
you.
Looking at womanhood, I refer to womanhood as a calling and a mission, more a prophetic voice in representing the Lord's eternal intentions for humanity. So I know a lot of people will talk about, you know, womanhood from a point of, you know, these feminist movements that are happening across nations where, you know, it's actually lost its essence of who we are. It's like we are in competition with men. We're trying to be men.
Equal.
We're saying we want to be equal or we want to be men. Whereas we can never be men. We are women, and we need to be proudly women and understand what and why and how God has created us as women. And like I said, it's for me, it's a mission. It's a prophetic voice in representing the Lord's eternal intentions for humanity. And I believe that there's, you know, profound ways, patterns, and processes that, you know, God has designed a woman to be, you know, that are actually internal and less of external, that we actually need to dig into in actually coming out or bringing out the essence of true womanhood.
I love the fact that you have already set us straight for the next question that I have in mind, to say that, you know, you're just giving us a background of how society views womanhood and how you depict it in a different way in your book. You know, as we go further, you even write, as you are, you know, relating your journey and all, you even write how your book is different from the other books that you have read or come across where they are talking about womanhood. Would you want to give us a bit of clarity on that, so that someone who's out there who's actually listening, they might be like, okay, I think I really need to read this book?
Yeah. I'd like to believe that my book is totally different, definitely different from some of the books around women and girls that are out there. In the sense that firstly, it's very raw and authentic, and it speaks to real life issues that happen to women on a day to day basis. I believe I can relate to so many women who have gone through different things because of the so many things that I believe I've also gone through in my short 33 years of life so far. So
long.
I'm not old yet. So I believe that this is a raw, authentic book that speaks to real life issues, and it's not after altering how God has created a woman, but it's actually after bringing out the essence of why God created and who a woman truly is in the eyes of the creator or her maker. And I believe that in the book Nashe with God, the journey of a transformed woman, that is actually spoken of, and it actually comes out.
Oh, okay. That's nice. I don't want to rob our listeners the opportunity to hear about some of the experiences. I know we're going to do these episodes kind of like in series because we don't want to rob you the platform to actually share your book, the details of your book and how you went through it. So this is like more like an introductive phase of it. But if you can give us like just a narration of, just a short summary or a narration of some of the experiences that you actually share about in your book. Like, do you want to tell the floor what you've got?
There's actually a lot of lessons to glean on, and maybe just like you said in summary, just a few key things that I talk about that I believe women go through on a day-to-day is, the lack of a male figure, fatherhood, how a woman or a girl child looks up to the father. And I believe that I speak a lot about that because I think, or I don't think, I know I didn't have like a sort of a proper role model in a father, who happened to be my dad, by the way. And there was issues there. I talk about abuse, growing up, how I saw him abuse my mom. I also talk about my own personal life experiences on that, sort of culminated from that experience into my adult life where because I didn't heal, or because I didn't have that father figure, actually affected how I got into relationships. It affected my identity. I had identity issues. It affected even how I got into being with my child's father and the experiences I had with him where I went through abuse as well. I've lost a child. I'm an orphan. So there's a lot of lessons that I believe I can
losses and all.
That's it.
Now I'm even shy to release. I actually did an episode on on the effects of not having a father as a girl child. Now I don't even think I should I should send it out because we've got you and you've got like a first-hand experience of, and you know as I was reading your book, Tinashe, I was just feeling like, you know what? I was thinking I'm going through these things, but there's someone who actually went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And I got so encouraged and so motivated because I know your life and I've seen you, since we were kids from primary school. And I've seen you grown into this woman. I'm like,
wow.
You know what? I didn't even know she was going through all this. And it has been so much of an inspiration. Yeah. And I hope our listeners, they as we are speaking right now, they find it, to have that edge to just read your book.
Hope so too. Hope that definitely.
What do you want people to benefit from reading your book? I know it's focused mostly on your life experiences. Sometimes when people read, they say, you've got it better. That's why you're talking like that. But they are still viewing things from a negative perspective. Yeah. What is it that you feel is going to help the people that read your book?
In a nutshell, Nicole, I would say I want people to find themselves. Find your true self. Because a lot of people are hiding behind false identities they've accumulated through the environments that they've been in, through people around them, through social media and people they deem or look up to as role models. And that is not themselves. They have a false sense of who they are. And I believe that in this book, and what I want people to get is find your true self. Find the true essence of who you are as an individual.
What
Yeah.
a powerful testimony of your life, Tinashe. We are really happy to have had you on the platform and to have you speak. Before you go today, there were 3 things that you mentioned in your book that really caught my eye or my attention, if I can say it. You spoke a lot on strength, you spoke a lot on courage, and you spoke a lot on purpose. You know, sometimes people get turned off when they when they hear someone saying, "I wrote about my life experiences." They think it's just a narration. But they don't know there are certain lessons that you can actually draw from that.
That's
As
it.
I'm sitting right here and having a conversation with you, those 3 words keep coming to my mind. Purpose. You were talking a lot on purpose,
Yeah.
courage, and strength.
Yeah.
Do you have something that you just want to give us on the 3 things that you wrote about?
Let me talk about courage first,
Okay.
and go back to Esther, as I said. And, you know, there was a lot of circumstances or situations or issues around her that said, no, you will never be. Like I said, she was a foreigner. She was an orphan. We don't even hear about her parents and her background or where she comes from.
We definitely
We don't hear about. The first thing we hear is she was in Mordecai's house and Mordecai was teaching her. The next thing they fetch her, they're taking her to the palace and she has to go through that 12 months of cleansing and purifying and being taught how to be a queen or to stand before the king. She literally just had one opportunity to stand before the king. And that one opportunity she couldn't put to waste. It was a matter of life and death. She was representing a nation. There were people that were behind her that needed her voice in that particular time. Remember, everything on her side said no. She was an orphan. She was a foreigner, but she was chosen into that palace. And there were so many amongst her that could have been chosen and not her. And like I said, she had one opportunity to stand before the king. She stood there with courage. And when she spoke, because she didn't speak out of her own, she spoke out of the wisdom of God. They had gone on a 3-day fast. A foreigner and an orphan commanded a 3-day fast for the whole nation to rally behind her so that when she speaks, wisdom comes out of her. And that's exactly what she did. And that for me is courage. And I speak about courage a lot because you can already see.
Guys, I think I need to go back and read the Bible. Because as you're talking, like, you know, that's exactly what happens in our society.
Yeah.
People see you, the version of you that has made it out.
Yeah.
But they don't see the version of you that has been struggling in any instance. And then we all want to associate with the part of you that's flourishing.
That's it.
But we don't realize that, you know, you had to be broken, you had to be scarred, you have had to go through different adversities in life to get to a certain point in time, you know, and moving over to strength or to purpose.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to start with?
I think I'll take purpose in the end. And just talking strength is, I mean, with courage comes strength, right?
Yes,
There
definitely.
cannot be courage without strength. And I believe they go hand in hand. But, you know, strength to be able to embrace who you are, where you come from, the issues or circumstances you've gone through. It requires a lot of strength, mental strength, physical strength. It requires strength, spiritual strength even. Sometimes we associate strength only with the physical part of it, but the spiritual strength is needed. Mental strength is needed. So strength, I believe, also, you know, goes hand in hand with courage. And I believe that, you know, through the situations, the experiences I went through, the strength that God gave me, you know, was I cannot explain it. I needed all the strength I could get, both physically, spiritually, and mentally. And I believe that for you to make it, or for you to, you know, overcome some of the circumstances that you go through, you need to really have a lot of spiritual strength, physical strength, but also mental strength as well.
And you know, when we are going through difficult times, the first thing that we do is we want to separate ourselves from God because we believe that He's responsible for our pain. So, you know, when you're talking of you need spiritual strength, you are teaching me something, you know, I'm literally learning that, you know, to actually make it through life, you actually have to cling on like a tick. Yeah. No one wants a tick on their body. Yeah. but it clings on for its own survival. So it's about you as an individual. You have to want it, and you have to pursue it, to cling on, so that you get that spiritual strength from God.
Amen.
Inspiring indeed. And moving over to purpose, where do you want to take us?
That
was very broad. I don't know how you're gonna narrow it down.
I'll try, but my heart, bleeds so much for this word purpose, because it is a word that has been so abused both in Babylon and in the kingdom as well. If I could put it that way, we find that people in church abuse what purpose is, and they just give any meaning to it and attach meanings to it that is not. And I mean, in the world as well, people will tell you all sorts of what purpose means and is. Purpose is not giving back to the poor or seeing someone in the road and giving them food.
Ooh, deep.
That is not purpose.
That's what I thought purpose is.
Not purpose. And sometimes people want to associate doing good with purpose. That's why I want to start there, because that's where the issue is doing good and purpose are two different things. You may do good, but when you get to heaven, God will say, "Depart from me, I never knew you," because what you were doing is not what he had aligned for your life, in as much as it was good. And it's so painful that a lot of people are stuck there. People are looking to put so much energy in doing good and actually not finding themselves.
And doing good, you can actually think of it in your own mind. It's something that you can derive for yourself, but it's not necessarily God related.
Thank you. That's it. Purpose is from God, and purpose means going back to the creator or the maker and asking him, why am I here and why have you made me to be here? It's not complicated. The thing is, we don't want to do the work of going to him, and we don't want to sit in silence and hear him speak and give us the instruction, because we have already given ourselves an instruction and a will and things that we want to do for our lives.
Wow. Wow, guys, this is so deep. This is so deep. I feel like going on and on and on. But unfortunately, we want this to be a series. Unfortunately, we'll have to end our first episode on this platform. Just give people the drive to want to read your book. I think it will be nicer for us to follow up with the other series when we know that people are actually engaging from a level of understanding. They know, they've read your book, they've gone through it. So I don't know, do you want to just give us a bit of your plans? Like, are you intending on writing another book? Where are you taking this? Because you just started on a high note. Don't tell me you're about to drop the ball.
Well, like I said, it was never, that's where also we talk about, purpose and hearing from God.
Okay.
What I'm learning in this season, Nicole, is that there's the will of God and there's our own will. Okay. Our own will comes from our soul nature, our mind, our emotions, our feelings. And God's will is God's will. It's what he said he wants you to do. And I'm learning to separate myself from my own will and leaning onto his will. Because I've seen that once you miss the mark there, it's easy to open a door for pride, for a whole lot of things, being taken away so easily by the wind. So I know that God has given me a title. I am writing a second book, but there's been a lot of pauses, and because of the season I'm in and because of what God is saying in my spirit. And the next book will be, if God doesn't change it, the title is Transitions. Okay. So I talk about the different seasons and how you transit from one season to the next, but also one spiritual level to the next. And because I'm also right now in a season of another transition I never expected to happen, it's like God is teaching me for the sake of that book. And I'm not in a hurry, but as the Lord leads, definitely there is more coming in that regard. However, there is, my podcast, Nashe, which means with God, and basically it's bringing in different people from all walks of life to come and share their true and authentic life, testimonies. Yeah. So the podcast name is Faith in Action. My platform is called Nashe, and in a nutshell.
I'm really comforted. I I think when I invited you over to have this this podcast episode with me, I was operating in my in my canal being, but I've been at a point where I've been on a pause, on a standstill, like even with my podcast. God was just like, just pause, just listen for now. Don't do anything. I think I've 2 months now, and I haven't been posting anything. In my canal mind, I'm thinking, I need to move. I'm going to lose listeners, I'm thinking of a whole lot of logistics. But now that you are sitting there and you are just talking about taking pauses, I think I'm actually comforted because, God has just sent you in the studio.
Posing is progress, by the way.
Okay.
Posing is not going backwards. It's progress. Okay. You must always have that in mind, because in that posing moment is progress happening, both in God literally rebuilding you or transforming you or bringing new words and wisdom to you. So it's progress. You may not be posting to the world. It may not be for the world. It's progress for you.
Guys, I think I just need to end the episode and have Tinashe to myself. Because I think she's got a lot of wisdom that God has brought her into the studio with. I'm really happy to have had this conversation with you. And before you go, Tinashe, we know you spoke about your podcast. I'm sure we'll be able to share some of your details.
Yes.
Either on our website and on our platforms as well. So that I'm going to do like a proper advertisement.
Thank you.
Of your platforms, so that people can have access to your wisdom and the knowledge that God has imparted in your life.
Thank you so much.
But just for now, for the sake of this episode of the book that we've been doing, Nashe with God, The Journey of a Transformed Woman, do you want to tell us where we get copies? How do we access your book and all that? Just give us a bit of some details on that as we close.
So the platform Nashe is on all social media platforms. Okay. So if you just type Nashe Nashe on Instagram, you're Nashe by Tinashe, and on Facebook is just Nashe. You'll be able to get all the details for the book. So you still order the book directly from me. Once you WhatsApp me, I'll be able to send you all the details, and I can courier the book to you or deliver, depending. That's where I'm found. And yeah.
Thank you so much. We are really excited and happy to have had you in this podcast, just to discuss your book. And we feel like you are the right energy, the type of energy we need. The type of energy we need at Real Out Loud. Because remember, at Real Out Loud, we talk about the things that bring people off balance. You are the balance that we need.
Oh, wow.
And we are really happy to have had you for our episode. Oh, wow. And we really hope, fingers crossed, that we are going to be able to, walk through some of the chapters. Because I feel like when you are reading, we've got the privilege. You are here. We want to dig more. When I was reading, I was busy highlighting and I had questions in my mind. I felt like I could engage in a conversation. And we hope we're going to have that platform as we progress in the days to come.
Totally.
So thank you to all our listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, where you find us on www.realoutloud.co.za or any other podcast platform there is. We are still on YouTube, guys. Invite others to this platform. Like, subscribe. It's for free. Ne? This knowledge and this wisdom just came for free. You're not going to pay anything. And we love to leave you here. As Pinky always says, spread love, be kind. Thank you.
Check out the rest of our episodes on YouTube, Apple, and Google Podcast, or anywhere you get your podcasts. There, you'll find more topics that you or a friend will definitely be interested in. Thank you for listening.